What happens when a proud black belt publicly mocks one of Hollywood's biggest action stars and challenges him to prove himself on the mat? Everyone expected an easy win. After all, movies aren't real fights, right? But what happened next wasn't loud, wasn't dramatic, and with just one calm move, the laughter stopped, the ego disappeared, and the entire gym fell completely silent. Fire. If you want, I can also give you a more intense version or a more emotional version. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Now, let's dive into what really happened. The laughter came first. Sharp, loud, confident. It cut through the air and echoed across the polished wooden floors of a private martial arts gym in Los Angeles. The room was bright, lined with mirrors and banners, filled with the steady rhythm of training, until that moment broke the focus. The source of the laughter was a decorated black belt instructor, well known in the gym for his discipline, intensity, and undeniable skill. He had earned respect the traditional way, through years of hard training and competition. Pride came naturally to him. And today, that pride was on full display. Standing quietly near the entrance, adjusting his gloves with calm precision, was Keanu Reeves. There were no cameras. No production crew. No spotlight. He wore a simple black t-shirt, slightly worn training shoes, and carried himself with the same quiet humility people often talk about. He wasn't there to impress anyone. He was there to train. But that day, someone decided to test him. Surrounded by a few advanced students, the black belt smirked and raised his voice just enough for others to hear. Hollywood fight scenes don't work in real life. A few students laughed nervously. Others avoided eye contact. The atmosphere shifted from focused to tense. Everyone in that room knew who Keanu was, the face of John Wick, the action icon from The Matrix. On screen, he was unstoppable. But this wasn't a film set with choreographed moves and retakes. This was a real dojo. And the instructor clearly wanted to prove a point. All eyes turned toward Keanu. He didn't react. He didn't defend himself. He didn't argue. Instead, he calmly finished adjusting his gloves, stepped forward without a word, bowed his head slightly in respect, and walked onto the mat. The instructor stepped forward, tightening his black belt with a dramatic pull. "Let's see if you can handle a real black belt," he said confidently. His voice carried across the gym, firm and challenging. The students straightened up. The energy in the room shifted instantly. What had started as a quiet training session was now turning into something everyone wanted to witness. To be fair, the instructor had earned his confidence. Years of early mornings, endless drills, tough competitions, medals and titles displayed proudly in the lobby. In his world, respect wasn't given, it was taken through performance. Strength proved status. Across from him, Keanu Reeves continued wrapping his hand tape slowly and carefully. Calm, silent, focused. There was no frustration on his face. No sign of ego. Just controlled breathing and steady eyes. What many people in the room didn't fully understand was that Keanu's training went far beyond movie choreography. For films like John Wick and The Matrix, he had spent years learning Brazilian jiu-jitsu, judo, and practical combat techniques under experienced professionals. Not for show, but with real dedication. Still, he never mentioned it. He never needed to. The instructor made the first move. Fast. Aggressive. A sharp combination of controlled strikes designed to test reflexes and assert dominance. Some students gasped softly, but Keanu didn't respond with force. He moved. Minimal footwork. Precise timing. Efficient positioning. He slipped past the incoming strikes with subtle shifts of his shoulders and hips. Instead of meeting power with power, he redirected it. Within seconds, the instructor's balance started to falter. The laughter from earlier was gone. The gym grew noticeably quieter. What began as a challenge was becoming something else entirely, a lesson unfolding in real time. Then it happened. One clean transition. As the instructor overcommitted to a spinning strike, fast, sharp, and meant to end the exchange decisively, Keanu Reeves didn't panic. He didn't step back. He stepped in. With precise timing, he shifted his weight, aligned his hips, and executed a controlled sweep. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't aggressive. It was technical, balanced, and perfectly measured. The black belt lost his footing and landed on the mat. Not violently. Not humiliatingly. Just decisively. A soft thud echoed across the wooden floor. Before anyone could fully process what had happened, Keanu transitioned smoothly into a secure positional hold. His posture remained stable. His breathing steady. His grip firm but respectful. There was no anger in his expression. No sign of pride. Just calm focus. The instructor attempted to adjust, trying to regain leverage. He shifted once. Twice. But the control was undeniable. The position was tight, technical, and carefully maintained without unnecessary force. For a brief moment, the only sound in the gym was controlled breathing. Then, tap, tap, tap. The signal of submission. The sound wasn't loud. But in the complete silence of that room, it felt like thunder. Every student froze. The same people who had laughed earlier were now staring in disbelief. Not because a celebrity had gained the upper hand, but because of how it happened. There was no celebration. No pointing. No words exchanged. Keanu released the hold immediately and created space, honoring the unspoken respect of the mat. What everyone witnessed wasn't dominance. It was discipline. Not ego. But mastery, quiet, controlled, and undeniable. The moment was over, but the lesson had just begun. Keanu Reeves immediately released the hold and stepped back, extending his hand to help the black belt instructor rise. For a split second, the instructor hesitated, pride and ego wrestling in his mind. Then, slowly, he accepted the hand. In that simple gesture, the energy in the room shifted. The tension that had built up over minutes, from the mocking laughter to the aggressive challenge, to the calm, decisive move, completely dissolved. Silence replaced nervous chatter. Eyes widened. Hearts slowed. What had seemed like a contest had transformed into a lesson. The black belt, humbled but still composed, nodded. Respect replaced arrogance. "Where did you train?" he asked quietly, his voice tinged with genuine curiosity rather than challenge. Keanu smiled softly, a hint of humility in his eyes. "Still training," he replied. Those 3 words carried more weight than any victory pose ever could. No flashy moves. No posturing. Just simple truth. Because this wasn't about proving superiority. It was never about showing off. Real martial arts isn't measured by who lands the hardest blow or who dominates a sparring round. It's measured in discipline, in constant growth, in control over oneself. It's about understanding your limits, respecting others, and striving for mastery over both body and mind. The students around them weren't watching a Hollywood star that day. They were witnessing a practitioner of the art, someone who remained a student even when fame and recognition could have offered excuses to stop learning. That's the difference between performance and mastery, between ego and humility, between loud, flashy displays and quiet, undeniable skill. And that day, in that bright Los Angeles gym, every single person understood it. The real lesson wasn't in the sweep, the hold, or the victory. It was in how you carry yourself when no one is forcing you to prove anything. The silence in the gym that day wasn't born out of fear. It was something far deeper, realization. Every person in that bright, polished dojo had just witnessed something rare, something that went beyond sparring techniques or martial arts prowess. In a world obsessed with power, loudness, and ego, Keanu Reeves,